Hey everyone, so this is going to be my June reading wrap up, and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I didn't really read that much this month because one of my favorite video games came out that I've been waiting years and years for, so I've been playing that through most of my free time, and that is The Last of Us 2. So I have not picked up very many books. So the first book that I read this month was In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I think that's how you say her last name. I'm probably butchering that. I'm really bad at names. But I did give this one 5 stars. This one made me cry so much. I will say that there is a trigger warning for cancer, so be careful if that's something that you have a hard time reading. Cancer is definitely in this story. So the main character, I don't even remember her first name, but the main character has this glimpse into her future of what it's going to look like in 5 years, and it's definitely nothing compared to what she thought it was going to be. She had this whole thing mapped out, and she's like, okay, I can either take the path to make that happen, or I can try to avoid that. I'm not going to tell you what she decides to do because I feel like that's going to ruin the whole story, but there's little things along the way that just start to happen, and it's just a heart-melting story. It's not a happy-go-lucky rom-com like I thought it was. I thought it was just going to be this silly story of this woman who, has to pick between two different futures. But there's more to it. There is definitely more to it, and there's just, it just made me cry. All I'm going to say is it just made me cry, and it was one of my favorites that I already put it in my 2020 favorites section, and underneath where I put kind of why it was my favorite, I just put that it made me cry. So definitely one that I am going to remember, and if you want just an emotional read, one that I think you might enjoy if you tend to share similar opinions with books to me. The next one that I grabbed is Falling for the Highlander by Lindsay Sands. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was borderline 5 stars. This was about a woman who just has really bad luck. She has terrible, terrible luck. She is basically indebted to her half cousin, half brother, I don't remember. I think it's a half cousin, half brother. And this guy is so bad that he wasted all of their money and is about to sell her off to any man because he needs money. So she decides she's just going to take off and run away. And of course she runs into this Highlander, this Scottish gentleman, and the story just kind of takes off from there. So, with Lindsay Sands, the plot is pretty much always the same. The story is just a little bit different through whatever you're reading, whether it's her vampire series or the Highlander series. There is always a romance of some kind, whether it's smooth or not, is up for grabs. There's always some sort of mystery in there for one of the characters, or both sometimes. And then, of course, there is their love story throughout. So I love that plot. I could read it over and over and over again with different characters and not get burnt out on it. But I know some people can't. But I love it. So I gave that one 4, almost 5 stars. I loved the little quirks in that book and kind of how it all played out. But I'm a Lindsay Sands fan. Lindsay Sands and Colleen Hoover, my favorite people. The next one that I grabbed was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I was so excited to get my hands on this because I was one of the first people at my library to get a hold of it right after it released. And I went into this thinking it was going to be a rom-com, silly, fun read about 2 authors who switch genres and fall in love in the process. However, it is not a rom-com. It is a little bit more serious than I was expecting it to be. So that being said, just keep that in mind. It is not a rom-com, in my opinion. It is not light, fluffy, happy. There's a lot in there. And I think that's why I didn't enjoy it as much, because that's not what I was looking for. That's not what I was expecting with this, and I hyped it up a little bit too much in my mind. So I did give this one 3 stars just because it wasn't for me. But I know there are a lot of booktubers, bookstagrammers, book readers in general that love this. The next one that I grabbed was off my bookshelf, and this was The Highlander Takes a Bride by Lindsay Sands. This one is about, I just call her Sade. I don't know if that's how you say her name. In Lard McDonald. She has, I think 7 big brothers? Yes. She's the youngest of 7 brothers. Her mom is no longer in the picture, so she's just been raised with the boys. So she is a sassy, sassy lady, and she is not looking for a husband. She has no desire to be married whatsoever. But Lord McDonald comes into play, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, maybe I'm a little bit interested in him. I still don't want a husband, but, you know, this might be fun. And Lord McDonald, or Donald, I always say Donald. It's Donald. Doesn't want a wife either. He's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I'm a player. I like my options. So of course, like I said, with Lindsay Sands, you have their romance, however way that forms. Then there's this mystery situation happening between the characters or with the characters. And then, you know, the story kind of plays out to where you figure out who did it, who done it kind of situation. And like I said, I could read this over and over and over again, so I'm always and forever picking up Lindsay Sands books. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was borderline 5 stars too. It's one that I will keep on my bookshelf because I can see myself picking it up again in the future. So if that tells you anything. The next one was The Rogue Not Taken by Sarah McLean. I gave this one 3 stars. It was about this woman who is scandalized and, you know, I don't know. She gets with this guy who is scandalous and isn't really scandalous, though. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I really didn't enjoy it. I gave it 3 stars. I'm really not going to go too much into that one because that one's hard for me to really get into. It wasn't for me. Honestly, I probably could have given that one 2 stars. But it wasn't, like, just borderline, guys. The next one that I've had on my Kindle for a while is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. I gave this one 2 stars. It just was not for me. I actually have Silkworm over there, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and donate because I don't think I'm going to like it any more than I did this one. 2-star books. If I don't like the first one, the odds of me picking up the second one in that series is like slim to none. So I'm probably going to just take that one right off my bookshelf and donate it to the little free library. It's about a detective who tries to solve private investigator situation, and I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. I skimmed through it. And then I ended June with Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. I gave this one 3 stars. I thought, again, I really need to just stop assuming that these books are going to be rom-coms because of their cover. This one is about a plus-size blogger who is body positive, and, you know, she is reconnecting with people from her past, and I don't know. Like I said, I just thought this was going to be light, fluffy, funny, and it ended up being kind of like a mystery. And that's all that I'm going to say because I don't want to ruin anything for you. But it ends up being like this mystery, not a light, fluffy romance, rom-com-y style book. I did give it 3 stars. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, you know, my favorites of all time. So that's it, guys. Those are all the books that I read this month. So far, I have read, I think, 81 books as of right now, which is quite a bit, so it's okay if I slow down a little bit. I am almost done with my Romanceopoly board. I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces to go. And one of those spaces I cannot read until autumn anyway, or fall. But yeah, I think I've got plenty of time to read 9 books and get those finished. But yeah, I don't know, guys. June just wasn't the biggest month for me. But let me know if you've read anything really good that you think I should put on my TBR or my wish list, because I don't really make a TBR. And I will see you guys next month for July's book wrap up. All right. Bye, guys.